Good evening. My name is Chinekwore from Learning World, and we are running this program on the Raising Outstanding Kids Facebook group. Learning World is an initiative set up to support parents in raising outstanding children. We do this by providing resources, advice that are very useful to parents. This is a passion-driven mandate, and it is anchored on the belief that we need to do our part to be sure that the next generation is what we want it to be. People normally complain about how the world has become and the evil that is going on, but we have to understand that the children or the men and women that we complain about in the society today came from families. The family is the smallest but most important unit in the society. So what happens in the family goes a long way in crafting the people that will lead us tomorrow, in crafting the world that we have tomorrow. So parents need to rise up to this mandate. It is not left for the school, it is not just for the religious organization, but rather the family is the primary source of socialization for the children, and it is what they have in the home that they'll be able to export out. I want to start with this saying that children learn by what they see and not by what they are taught. Learning is an ongoing process in the life of every child, every teen, even every adult. Whether we like it or not, learning always goes on, and learning can be subconscious or conscious. So whether you're doing something or you're not doing anything at all, you are programming your children. So it is better you do something and do the right thing than just leave everything to chance, because whatever you sow into the lives of your children is what you will get from them. Children come like a system, a computer that is empty, and then parents have the mandate to program them up until the time they go into adulthood, and then they are released into the society. That is why the Bible says that we should train up the children in the way that they should go. And when they grow up, they will not depart from it. So parenting is not something we can afford to do casually. It's not something that we should do with trial and error with, because once you have tried and you've made a mistake, that mistake will stay on with the child. Sometimes parents will use their first children as guinea pigs, more or less. They try a number of things with the first child, and then they learn along the line and try to implement what they have learned with the first child with other children. But then if you get knowledge, the Bible says in all you're getting, get understanding. If you get knowledge, it will really help you in your parenting journey. So before we go into today's session of becoming the parent that raises outstanding children, I want us to do an assessment to see how well we are already doing in our parenting journey. I know that any parent that has made out time to be here is a parent that is deliberate in raising outstanding children. So that means that what I'm saying might not be totally new to you. It might be that there are things that you are already doing. So I want us to just quickly do a brief assessment to know how well we are doing in our parenting journey. And one question I want to ask you as a parent: how do you portray yourself to your children? Do your children see you as perfect? Do they see you as invincible? Do they see you as all put together? Or do they ever know that you make mistakes? Do they know that you're vulnerable, you're not perfect, and you're also in your journey of perfection? I want you to think about it. What kind of parents are you? If you want to say something in the comment section, by all means, do so. Who do your children see you as? That perfect parent that can do no wrong, or that parent that is work in progress and acknowledges that he or she is work in progress? I've heard a teenager say sometime that he is not comfortable to speak with one of his parents because, as far as he's concerned, the parent has portrayed himself as being perfect, and he doesn't want to, disappoint the parent or fall short of the parent's expectations. So the question I put across to you again is this: how do you portray yourself to the children? To your children, are you a perfect parent or are you work in progress like they are? Then another question I want to ask is this: do you show your children respect? Do you respect their feelings? Do you respect their opinions? Does their opinion count? Or are you the lord of the manor that knows it all? You are the boss. Who do your children, would your children say that you respect them? Would they say that their opinion counts? Your children, are they parts of the team in your family? Are they allowed to make contributions in the dealings in your home? Or do they just follow instructions as you dish them out? Another question I want to ask you: do you create an environment for your children to be able to express themselves, express their interests while being guided? I'd really appreciate it if I can get some feedback on the comment section so I'll know that this is an interactive thing. And then another question I'll ask is, how do you discipline your children? Do you discipline them or do you punish them? When they do something that does not sit well with you, how do you react? Do you spank them, flog them, shout at them because you are upset with them, you're angry, your emotions are high at that point? Or are you worried that if people find out that your child has done this or that the child will bring shame to the family? Or are you more concerned in using that as an opportunity to teach your child? So do you discipline your children or do you punish your children? That's the question. So these are some of the things that I'd want you to think about as we continue with our session today on becoming the parent of outstanding children. In my previous post, I had said something. I used the example of Susanna Wesley and Sonia Carson as two parents that were intentional about raising outstanding children. And they did some things that helped their children to fulfill their calling in life and put them on the sands of time. You know, think about it. When you were growing up, what are those values that your parents deposited in you, both knowingly and unknowingly? Like I had said earlier, there are things that your parents do or you do as a parent, not really wanting to teach that to your children, but which they will just subconsciously pick up by watching you. I can remember a lady that said one time to me that she had always proposed in her heart that when she grew up, she wouldn't do some of the things that her mother used to do to her because she knew it wasn't right. But she found out that when she got married and had her children, she unconsciously started exhibiting those very traits that she didn't like. And that was because it had registered in her subconscious over time. So with regards to becoming the parents of outstanding children today, I want us to look at it from three aspects. Our time is very short. I hope that will be done in 30 minutes so we can do other things. So I'll just quickly go through what I have put together. So now we are looking at becoming the parents of outstanding children in three aspects. The first is who you are as a parent. And the second is what you model as a parent. And then the third is the systems you've put in place in the home front for your family. These are the three things that we are looking at. Parents, okay, so let's look at the first aspect, who we are as parents. Who are you as a parent? First, a parent is supposed to be a leader. The father and the mother together work together to lead the home. So note it, a parent is a leader, not necessarily a boss, but a leader. In one of the questions I had asked earlier, I said, how do you run the affairs of your home? Do your children have a say in what happens? Do you just say it and it is final? Do you lead or are you a dictator? So the first point to note is that a parent should be a leader. And who is a leader? A leader is someone that guides and supports. Sometimes we seem to forget that children are complete human beings like us. Children have the mind of their own. They want to be heard, they want to be respected, they want to be valued. But we understand that as children, they are still in their formative years and they need to be guided. So as parents, our role should be to lead them by guiding them and supporting them. So how one of the things that leaders do is that they, will I say, delegate. For every task or anything you want your children to do, you don't just, a boss will just dish out the instruction, do this. A leader shows the way, a leader equips, a leader prepares. Some of the frustrations that we have as parents, when we say, for example, that children do not cooperate in the home, the children do not work, they do not do their chores, and you're just so frustrated. But if you think about it, have you gone through the leadership process with them? What do you do if you want to delegate effectively? First of all, you need to equip the person you want to delegate to do the task you want the person to do. If you want the person to be able to wash plates, you equip the person by teaching, showing the person how to wash plates. If you want the child to be able to excel in their academics, you show the child how to study and why they should study. I've studied with my children in the past, and they'll tell you that they've read a topic, and then you ask them questions and you find out that they've not really understood the topic. They just glossed over it, and once they have a general overview of the topic, they are fine. So I now realized that there was a need to show them how to study effectively. So for everything or anything you want your child to do, you lead by showing them how to do it. You equip them, you prepare them for the task, and then you assign them what you want them to do. You don't just assume, you don't just come home and start screaming that the house is untidy. Meanwhile, nobody has been assigned the task of taking care of that place. We don't, as a leader, you do not leave things to assumption. You assign roles after you have equipped the child to do what you want the child to do. And then you ensure that the child understands what you want him or her to do. And this can cut across different things, whether it's with regards to house chores, whether it is with regards to academics, whether it's with regards to some character traits. It is still the same principle. Equip them, show them how they should do something, and then assign the task to them, confirm that they understand what you've told them to do, and then confirm that they are committed to doing that. Because if you tell a child something, get the child's commitment. Maybe the child says, okay, fine, yes, I've heard you and I'll do it or something. Don't just assume, because you might speak and they've not heard what you said. So ensure that they are committed to the task. So this is how a parent should lead. Then secondly, a parent should be available. Very important. A parent should be available. And when I talk about availability, I'm talking about being both physically available and emotionally available. How should a parent be physically available? Be there for the events that matter in their lives and for the events that also matter to you. Let me give an example. A child would only take things as seriously as you, the parent, takes it. If, for example, you're not available in their school activities when you are needed and you are never available. We understand that life gets busy and you might not be able to come for every event. But if that is no longer the exception, but the rule that you are never available, it will be registered in the children's mind that academics or whatever that thing is not important enough for you to make out time for it. And they too will not take that seriously. So the first point is that you have to be physically available for the things that are important to both the child and yourself. Make an effort to always be available in their critical life events. The children will never forget. If I use myself as an example, my father was always there for anything that had to do with my academics, whether it's PTA meetings, whether it's a prize giving day, whatever thing that has to do with me, he was always there. He showed me that he was concerned. And, while I was in school, at the point, I wanted to do well, not for my sake, but for my father's sake, because I felt that he was investing so much that the least I can do is to give him my very best. So we communicate to our children by what we do and also by the things that we do not do. There was some time, I think 2 months ago, it was trending on social media about a parent that had paid a huge amount of money as school fees for the child, and the child missed out on important school events. And the father was infuriated with the child and was quite upset. So the question is, had the parent been available all along? Because if he was available, he would have known what was happening in the child's life. If he had shown his involvement, the child would have taken those things up to be serious and important. So being available physically is key. Another thing is being available emotionally, so your child will be able to connect with you. We have parents that can be at home, but they are not at home. We have parents that are at home, but they are distracted. I did one series some weeks back on doing unto our children what we want our children to do to us. I've been guilty of this in time past when my children will be speaking to me and I'm engrossed in what I'm doing on my phone. But what happens now is that I'll tell them this. Okay, I know that you want to talk to me about this, but I really have to finish what I am doing now. So can you just give me some time to quickly finish it, and then I'll be able to give you my full attention. Let the children know that you are hearing them. Let the children understand that they can connect them. So a parent that wants to raise outstanding children has to be available physically and emotionally. You are also emotionally available when you are able to empathize with the children. Sometimes we parents inadvertently put up that air of being perfect, of being invincible, and then that we put up a wall and our children can't approach us. If they have issues, they'll not be able to speak to us about them. That way we are not connecting with them. So a parent that wants to raise an outstanding child should be able to be emotionally available. So if the child even has issues and concerns, the child should feel free to approach the parent. So that a parent should lead, a parent should be available both physically and emotionally, and a parent should always show love and empathy to the children. The children should know that they are loved unconditionally and that the parents care for them. Let it never be in doubt. Let the children never think that you love them because of what they do, but because of who they are. Empathy is key. It helps, like I said, it helps with connection, and it teaches the children a whole lot about how they relate with others too. So now, after we've talked about who we should be as parents, the next thing we're going to look at is what we should model as parents. Modeling is very important. Like I had said previously, children learn by what they see and not what they are taught. The brain has what we call mirror neurons, and that's for every human being. What the mirror neurons do is that they copy what they see over time, and it registers in the subconscious, and it is what the child has inside of him or her that they will bring out. Sometimes we see our children shouting at one another, Probably because they've seen us shout when we are upset. If we say something and do something else, we are passing conflicting messages across to the children, and it will be difficult for them to know what to follow. But that thing you do is what registers. So we should be able to model what we want our children to see. I have spoken before about parents being leaders, and leaders lead by guiding, supporting, delegating effectively. Another thing that leaders do is that they encourage team building. Team building. Our children should see you model the family unit as a team. They let them own the process of what happens at home. Sometimes we have that issue that children are not willing to do their house tasks. Parents complain about this over and again. And I've been in that scenario where I've told my children to do something and it seems as if they are not getting their cooperation. But there's something I started doing recently and it started working, and it is in line with the team building thing. In the morning, okay, they know what their tasks are supposed to be for the day, especially now that we are all home due to the pandemic. So in the morning, we'll just have a toolbox meeting where we all come together. And so we'll talk about what we have to do for the day and why we have to do what we have to do and why we should do it promptly. The children are owning the process. When you tell them, see, this is what you should do, and if you do this, this happens. And then they also express their own concerns. We are all on the same page. We are working as a team. And you give them that pep talk, they are excited, they go out to do what they're supposed to do, and you find out that you have more results. Why? Because you set out the tone of the day together as a team, planning and then executing. So modeling is very important. First, we should model team building. Another thing we should model is character. Character. I shared a character building guide some time back. I don't know if anybody has had the opportunity of going through it or using it. But children learn empathy. For example, they learn being caring by what they see you do. Do you care for people around you? They know. You have to model it. Responsibility, being fair, being trustworthy, being a good citizen, showing respect. These are things that we should model to our children. Being a good citizen, like you beat the lights or you talk down at your leaders, you are just, whatever you do, just know that you're paying it forward, because in the lives of your children, it will be multiplied. If your children, for example, see that you show care to your parents, they will know to show care to you tomorrow. If your children know that you show care to people around you, they will want to show care tomorrow. So what character are you modeling for your children? As far as character development is concerned, what we do is far more important than whatever thing we say. So as parents, we should be our children's number one role model. And then another thing we should model is your spiritual relationship with God. Because for me as a Christian, that for me is the foundation of whatever thing we are doing in life. You can't preach to the children, talk to them about the importance of, for example, studying the Word of God, reading the Bible, praying, when they don't see you do it. It's very important that you model those things to them. If you want your children to have an excellent reading culture, let them see you read. If you want your children to be people that come out dressing smartly, neatly, be that parent. It's just registered. The children have already been wired scientifically like that. They pick it up unconsciously. So it helps to support the things that you say. Please do not pass across conflicting messages by saying one thing and doing another. Someone has said here, learning generosity, very important. Learning to apologize. Most parents, when they apologize, I just saw a joke one day that do you know how to speak Nigerian parents language? That for Nigerian parents, I am sorry means have you eaten? Or I am sorry means I love you. or rather, have you eaten also means I love you. Why is it so difficult to say the three-letter word? Is it word I am, the three-word sentence, I am sorry? We have to show our children. And maybe we don't say that because we did not grow up seeing our parents easily apologize or own up to it when they miss it. But we need to be able to eat the humble pie and apologize when we see that we are not doing the right thing or we've made a mistake. Nobody is above mistakes. So these are some of the things that we should do. We have to be the parents that raise outstanding children consciously. We have to model the right behavior. And finally, we have to build the right systems in the home front. We have to build the right systems. The systems should be in place for the children because children need guidance. Children need guidance. Whatever system you provide in the home front is what they will follow. Whatever template you give them is what they will follow. And like I always say, let have a good argument, a good explanation for whatever system you're putting in place. I use the example of Sonia Carson and Susanna Wesley. They had systems in place. The story of Ben Carson was that he was performing very poorly in school. For such a long time, he was like the poorest performer in class. The mother was not educated. The only thing the mother did was to change the system at home. She cut down on screen time and restricted screen time to only educative things, and then started promoting the culture of reading. And Ben Carson automatically moved from being one of the worst to becoming the best. Susanna Wesley is another example. I was reading about her, and there are a lot of things that were mentioned. They talked about focus. She made sure the children knew when to do what. Sometimes we don't have systems at home. We just leave everything to chance. And then the children use their time any way they want to use their time. They don't use their time effectively because we don't have systems. If we have systems in place, children become more self-disciplined, they become organized, they become independent, they become more responsible, they build good habits. And research has even shown that when you have systems in place, that it helps the children to develop planning and execution skills. So what systems do you have in place? There has to be a system for everything. Don't leave things to chance. For example, you should have a system for eating. One time we had complaining about one of our children that always liked to eat snacks. And he said that he always ate snacks because when he got hungry, food would not have been prepared by then. So we found out that we had to tweak our meal planning and our menu and the food timing and all that. Planning of our meals, for example, is one of the systems that we should have at home. You should be able to plan your meals to make sure that the meals, for example, are nutritive and they are available at the time that it is needed. And when you plan and organize, you save time, you maximize your time. When you're going to shop, you know what you're shopping for. You should have systems for disciplining your children. It's not that when a child misbehaves and you're upset, you just slap the child. What is your system for discipline? What is your system for consequences? Because not every default, as it were, should have the same consequence. There are natural consequences, there are logical consequences. Sometimes, because we don't have systems in place, we just do things at just impulsively, and we might not do the right thing or take the right decision or the rational decision at that time. Let's say, for example, your child spills water on the floor and then you're upset with the child, you scream at the child, why are you so careless and all that, which is putting the child down, and then you go ahead and mop the floor for the child. The logical consequence for that kind of action is that the child should clean the floor. If, for example, your child uses too much time playing games, the consequence is for example, that the child's game time will be shortened at when the next encounter you're supposed to have. But the important thing is that you must have disciplinary systems, consequences, clearly spelled out, which everybody knows. So you should have a meal plan, you should have a disciplinary system in place, you should have a system for developing your children spiritually. You don't leave those things to chance. What system do you have in place? Is it that they go for a youth program in church, or you have devotions in the morning and Bible study at night? You read these Psalms every day. You do what? You study um, people in the Bible. What systems do you have in place to develop your child spiritually? What system do you have in place to help your child to build character? What system do you have in place to ensure that there's a time for your child to study and learn? What system do you have in place for the family to have fun and bond? Do you have movie nights? Systems are very important. So when you have these systems in place, you bring them together, and that is what will help you to form your family schedule. So your children all know that in our family, it's more like a family ritual. These are the things that we do per time, you understand? And it just flows. And I understand that we are not robots. So we can have systems, but we can break. There should be some form of flexibility, but let there be some kind of structure, let there be some kind of system. I tell you that for any time you complain that your child doesn't do something or do the other thing, there most likely is not a system in place for the child to do this or do that. If a child knows that this is our system in the home, before we go to bed, for example, we read a book or read a chapter of the Bible, the child knows that, and you're helping the child to develop the child's reading culture. So one thing I feel is a gap in our parenting today is that we leave a lot of things to chance. We do not provide systems. Another thing is that we are not available either physically or emotionally. Another thing that we made, the mistake we also make, is that we assume that our children do not have a mind of their own. They do not have feelings that are to be respected. They don't have anything to contribute. And then we don't maximize who they are. So I want to encourage us to be the parents by leading, by being available physically and emotionally, by showing empathy, by showing love, both in our words and in our actions, then also by modeling the right things and establishing systems. And then finally, I want to talk about something, and that is about knowing our children. The Igbos say that ofu Chineke, ofu nne na amụ, but mana ọ bụrụ ofu Chineke, which means that children of the same mother have different traits. No two children are the same. So a parent has to do some form of psychology. You have to be able to assess your child or your children to identify their personality types, their temperaments, their talents, their gifts, and their callings. These things are very important because when you know who your child is, you know how to help the child to study. You know how to discipline the child. You know what talents the child has that he or she needs to develop. So parenting is a journey, and you need to take time to study your children. You have to be deliberate in this journey. You have to be intentional. You have to accept that you need to work on yourself, to improve on yourself. For example, with regards to discipline, find out that when you are one thing, when you are stressed out, you snap very easily. You take out your anger on your children. They just do something that is very minor and you just flip. So managing your emotions, working on your emotions is something that you should do as a parent. So that brings me to the end of our session today. I don't know if anybody has any questions or any contributions. I want to appreciate everyone that has tuned in to listen to me. And I just want to encourage you, as I encourage myself, to go beyond the talk and actually start doing. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of us have an idea of what we should be doing, but sometimes we are so lazy about it, or sometimes we start and we stop. We need to be very consistent. In fact, in life, consistency is key. If you have your systems and you don't consistently follow through with it, it's a problem. If you give your children tasks and you don't consistently follow through with it, it's a problem. If you engage with your children today, connect with them today, and then tomorrow you don't, it's a problem. Consistency is important. So if you prioritize parenting, you'll be able to be, more consistent because you need to do it. But the grace of God is sufficient. Once there is a will, there is a way. So that is why you need to fuel yourself up spiritually. And every day you ask the Holy Spirit to help you today in your parenting work. Let Him help you when you're about to snap because that child is doing that thing that irritates you yet again. Just talk to Him about it. But parenting is a tough journey, but it's a doable journey. And I know that we'll all turn out right. I just want to ask if you have that character development guide, have you started using it? Have you even looked at it? Have you done anything with it? You know, think about it. Sometimes the things that we want our children to do are the things that we too we don't do. We've got something that we're supposed to act on, and then we've not acted on it. And these are the things that will irritate us should our children do it. So the question I want to ask is this: have you started working with the character development guide now that the children are at home, and how has the progress been? So do you have any questions? Do you have any contributions before we end? Kindly, write it in the comment section, and I really appreciate you.